Hello, hello! Welcome back to cosplay time! Today, technically last night, no, well, I gathered photos last night, but today is the day that I start Rhaenyra, and I have already started. So, I have been doing my little research, my little searchy search on which costume I wanted to do, and originally, I wanted to do, I'll put them over here, but I will hold them up to remind myself which one I'm talking about. So originally, I was thinking about doing this maroon dress from episode 3. I want to say 2 or 3. She wears it in both. Because as of right now, only up to episode 4 of season 2 is out. So originally I was going to do that one because I thought, oh, the fabric looks pretty easy to find, because really the one that I wanted to do was this one from episode 1 and episode 2. But then I was like, ugh, that fabric looks really hard to find. You'll never guess what I found. As soon as I stopped looking for that material for that costume, I found an incredible dupe of it. So, you know, well, that just means that we can do it at a later date. Those were my plans. And then I was like, this is spoilers for season 2, obviously. In episode 4, we got Millie Alcott's return in older Rhaenyra's dress. And I was like, bro. And it's the dress from when she was crowned. And I just like, I was like, oh. So then I was like, well, wait, I love that. And that would be such an interesting costume to do. So that was my plan, is I was going to do this version. And I believe that is still what I'm going to do. The only issue is that the dresses are different. So there's this dress on Millie. The velvet of the skirt is textured in this version. And then the collar is a satin instead of velvet, which makes sense. It also sits flatter and wider. It makes sense for the context of the scene, as well as the shoulders aren't peaked. So in older Rhaenyra's, in the season 1 dress, it has, oh yeah, so here you can see the very blatant differences in the collar, and the shoulders are slightly peaked, and it's slightly awkward with the piping as well, but you know, that is neither here nor there. So, you know, I had to make the decision of which Rhaenyra to do, biblically accurate older Rhaenyra or younger Rhaenyra, and the decision was made while we were fabric shopping yesterday to do the season 1 dress, and then if I want to wear it as Millie Alcott's younger Rhaenyra instead of Emma Darcy's older Rhaenyra, then that's fine. You know, it's basically the same dress. We went to the fabric district yesterday in downtown LA. Here's some footage of us. And I found a few things. So all of the stores downtown, they all say like no photos, no recording, no FaceTime, you know, all of that stuff. So we went to my favorite rhinestone store because Lexi's doing Taylor Swift. So we had to get her some rhinestones, and I knew that they had some beads and stuff. So I was also looking. It's called Bohemian Crystal. I have a website, but it's like, you know, beadsfactory.com is what it is. They're in downtown LA in the fabric district. I love them. But basically, I was looking for these kite-shaped beads that are on the sleeves, because I found the recreations of the clasp and recreations of these like dragon feet kind of things, and I already have those coming. So all I needed was these like kite-shaped beads, and I found these as an option, and they're little like diamond-shaped studs that have a little bit of texture, and I think that I can make them work. So my current plan is to attempt to hammer out this texture and then even like shape them a little bit, because these ones have a little bit of like a roundness to the very bottom of them. Sorry, you're getting so much glare on my phone. They come to like kind of like a point like that. So I think these are a very good option to go with. I got this bright gold, and then I also got this bronze that I figure, depending on what color the claws and the clasps are, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be this bright gold, but I can also brighten this up a little bit with like dry brushing them in gold. So I got packs of both because it was like $1.50 for 100 of them. It's also like downtown's not that far for me to go. While I was doing my research last night, let's start there, I followed this other cosplayer, and she had been trying to figure out how to replicate the texturing on the bodice, basically, because you can get it professionally pleated. And I did find out that there's a place in downtown LA that will do it, but this cosplayer actually figured out how to do it as smocking instead. And so I basically went through her videos and everything, and I was screenshotting them, literally like followed her exact measurements step for step. And I went through and I made my own diagram of how it all works. And then I went for her spacing as well. This was her original spacing. And then I kept watching her videos and like looking at the screen grabs that I took. And I realized that she did downsize. So I also downsized and I made this template. And then I put it on cardboard because I was like, yeah, that'll be fine, you know, just like transferring it on cardboard. And then I couldn't see anything. So then I put it on this piece of plastic. So I basically have 4 different templates for one thing. But this was my trial piece on a bit of, this is bridal satin. This is a little bit heavier than the actual satin that I got yesterday. So this is what the front looks like, not pressed. This is what the back looks like. I used the white thread so that I could make sure that I could see what was going on and make sure that everything was like looking right for this trial piece. And then like trying to figure out how it's supposed to like press was a little difficult. And there's some pieces still that aren't quite laying how they're supposed to, and obviously it is not pressed yet, so it's not perfect, but it looks pretty freaking fantastic, and it's not that hard. I did quite a bit of the dragon scale smocking, which is like the arrowhead smocking, and this is like, it's very similar. This is actually easier than that because that one has 3 points, and this one only has the 2 points that connect. So you basically just like go down the lines, but it was really easy. And so then I took some basic measurements of my slopers, which is this side over here. And then I figured that this was it. Basically you need to double it. So this sheet of fabric was originally a 10 by 10. And then with the smocking on it, it's now like a 6 by 8, something like that. So I'm just gonna double the measurements and then add, like round up basically. So like 18 doubled is 36, and I doubled that up to 40, but I think I'm gonna take that up to 45 now because that was only to the waist and it has like a little bit of a point at the bottom. I may even take it up further than that, but the sleeves, the original piece will be like 55 by 30. Front and back are like the same. So I basically need quite a bit, I don't know. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm about to start measuring out these and cutting them up. And I think Lexi is also on her way over so that we can work on her Taylor Swift bodysuit that she's attempting to do by herself. But I'm gonna help walk her through some stuff, and I need to kind of clean up the garage a little bit. Update, almost finished marking out the first one. You can't really see it, but it's worth with the light on since I'm doing it on the shiny side. I only have this little section left, but this sucks. It really does, and this is sharp. My hands hurt. I want to talk more about the smocking and how it all works and everything. So we have our nice top-down camera. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Of course, the sun is finally coming out. This came straight from this one. Copied it on, poked the holes with my awl. I assume you could also do this with an X-Acto knife. It would honestly probably work better if you had larger holes, but this is how I did it. And then when I did my sample piece, I basically I actually put it on a diagonal because that's how I saw the other person do this, and that's how you have to do it because I copied it. I just did it like straight from this. This diagonal line on it is actually what you want to put on your straight grain. So let me pull over the one that is marked up but not sewn yet. hopefully you're able to see this. So you can see basically what I did was I took the piece of fabric, folded it in half, found the center line, and I drew that center line on. And then I took my pattern and I laid it down on this center line. And then I have these chalk pencils. I have one that is white and one that is pink. And I would do all of the ones in one direction in white and then all of the ones in pink, in the other direction pink. You can actually see these better on the camera than I can in real life. So this is how I've started. And then I have one piece that's almost halfway done, but this is how I ended up having it marked for the actual sewing. So this was the first section that I transferred. And I thought that the arrows would be helpful. They're not, they just make it like bulky. And what I did was I took my traditional tailor's chalk and I just went in on all of the ends of the dots. And so like down here, I didn't really transfer it as much. And I basically just went onto the dots and I drew little lines. You can literally just barely see what the heck is going on. Where's the end of that one? Like that, and I keep having to touch up because when I hold it in my hand, it kind of wears away. This is what it's looking like. Yeah, so this piece is probably almost exactly halfway done and I am going up the length. And then this is what it looks like where I've kind of gone in and manipulated a few of the rows to make them lay properly, but that's gonna be like a whole other adventure of figuring out all of that. So you kind of have to like wiggle the fabric around until it does what you want. And then sometimes it even is still like grumpy about it and I have to remember how to do it. So the stitch is like underneath these. The stitch that you're making is like under here. Yeah, so this is going to be my life for the next however long. But let me show you how I've gotten into the groove of sewing them. So you need like a very sharp needle and I am just using one, like a single thread. I'm not doubling up the thread. I don't think you need to. It's not like this is gonna be under super harsh like constraints, you know? So I'm tying my knot. If you don't know how to tie a knot, here you go, here you go. Pinch the end of the thread, twist it around your index finger, roll, grab this little section and pull it to the end, and then you have a nice little chunky knot. So I'm gonna start this row. Sorry, the table is black, so that doesn't help. I have a piece of paper. I don't know if that helps at all. I'm gonna take a tiny little stitch on this side, and then the opposite direction. Take a tiny little stitch on this side. Don't pull it tight yet because I'm gonna take another stitch basically in this exact same spot on this side. Now I'm going to pull it completely tight until it meets, and I'm gonna pinch these two sides and then go through like a little teeny tiny bit and tie a knot. And then, so the next one that we're gonna do is this one, is these 2 points. So you can go to either, but I usually go to this point. I'm gonna take a little stitch and then I'm gonna pull that until the thread is like flat across the fabric. And then I usually just take another stitch like right here. Like if it wants to tie itself in a knot, I don't mind, that's fine. And I'm gonna hop across and do that little stitch. Come back over here in the opposite direction, do a little stitch, pull it tight. And you're basically gonna do this exact same thing about 1,000,000 times. Ta-da! Yeah. My iron is heating. But I've just finished the third panel, so I figured I would share a couple of the other tricks that I learned while I was ironing the other ones. Well, but I've also just realized that when you're straightening these out, you can kind of, okay, most of the time, you can kind of just give it like a little tug like that, and it just like rights itself. So the big thing I think that I learned is you gotta work just in sections, and like everything, just go slow, take your time. So I'm gonna work in like this much of a section at a time, and I'm just gonna steam it from like above. And then I'm gonna like manipulate any of the awkward corners after I've steamed it, and I'm gonna like straighten out some edges to get that nice like crisp look that you want. Kind of like press it with your hand. Okay, I'm gonna say that I'm happy with like this much of it. Now I'm going to just lightly press the iron down where I'm happy. Okay, everything is staying put, so full iron. And you want, if you slide the iron, you want to slide it down them. You don't want to slide up, and you don't want to slide across them. You only want to slide down them. Cool. And then I'm gonna let this dry for a moment, or cool, I guess, while I just continue ironing. And that's it. That's every step that I have taken to do the smocking. It just takes a long time, but the end result is definitely worth it. This is my life now. This is all I'll be doing for the foreseeable future. So just leave me here. And I suppose soon I will be able to do something else.